Right, that clip at the start, what I did was I switched the bike on, turned it on, started it, whatever, and then switched the camera on. So it was ticking over, but it was ticking over slightly higher than like it would be at operating temperature, because obviously it's cold. I mean, to give you an idea how cold it is, you know, it's not even got stupidly hot on the exhausts. But the reason I showed you that, or let you hear that, is I'm going to do a couple of modifications on this bike, but also for a couple of reasons. Now, my original idea, basically what I'm after is I want to make this thing a little bit louder. It's got a lovely deep rumble to it, but it's not very loud. I don't know how the camera will have picked it up. This camera has a habit of making stuff seem louder than it is, if you know what I mean. When I'm talking, that's as normal, but as an example, on past videos, when I've tapped something with like my little nylon hammer, even when you tap it, and it is just a tap, but the camera picks it up, makes it sound as if you've swung it from back end at the garage, hitting a fucking six in cricket sort of thing. So I don't know how the camera will have picked it up until I watch it back, but it's not very loud, and I want it a little bit louder. So my original idea was I was just going to take the stuffing out of them monster ovals, let it sort of go a little bit more. It just doesn't make a massive amount of difference, but it'll make a little bit of a difference. But then I got to thinking, I've done a few bikes over time where, in a sense, I've done like a stage one on them. So put slip-ons on, or a full exhaust system even on some of them, air filter kits, and then put like a stage one tune in it. Not me personally, I've got the box and just plugged it in. Like, I don't sit there with a laptop and play having a fucking clue how to do all that. But some of the lads that I've done work on their bikes, they've actually done where they take the cat out of the exhaust, and one of the things that interested me with them doing that, because to me it seems a lot of work for not a lot of gain, if you know what I mean. But the big thing that does interest me is the ones that have done it have all said how much cooler the thing runs. So with Harleys, if you can get them to run cooler, fucking awesome. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the cat out, but I'm also going to take the exhaust flap out, the active exhaust, and I'm going to do the baffles. So two reasons with what I'm doing. One, as the clip I showed you at the beginning, was just to show you how it sounds now. This will cost me nothing, more, just a bit of time, maybe a couple of quid in electric with cutting the hole and welding it back up sort of thing. But I'm not spending big bucks on a new exhaust system or out like that. Now what was I going to say? Yeah, so when it's done, I'll set the camera up at the back again and I'll fire it up from cold and we'll see if there's any difference. I'm hoping it'll be a little bit louder. I've done this sort of thing in the past, not with monster ovals to be fair, but like the big Vance 9s, the monster rounds or something they call them. I've done them where I've took the stuffing out of the baffle. You keep the whole baffle, but you just take the packing off it, and that made a massive difference to the sound. You know, it wasn't ear splitting, it wasn't stupidly loud, but it was a lot louder than when it had it in, and the bike still ran absolutely fine. But with this one as well, I can actually tweak it. You know, I'm not after performance gains. I don't know if people who've watched all my videos, they might have picked up on the fact I'm not interested in performance on a Harley Davidson. It's just a tour about one, and that's why I'm more interested in getting it to run cooler. You know, because I'm doing a lot of miles. Well, hopefully this year I'll be doing a lot of miles. So obviously I want it to run a bit cooler, but I'm not that interested in performance gains. I'm not like competing against anybody or out like I'm just out to ride and enjoy the scenery type of thing. So, but inevitably you might get an extra horsepower or something. But as I say, I'm not interested. I'm more interested in making it a little bit louder and hopefully getting it so it runs a bit cooler. Now also, it was cold. I don't know if I've already said this. It was cold. I'm on the exhaust there, so I haven't had this thing running for ages and then let you hear it. That about 5 seconds before I switched the camera on, I started this up from cold. So that's what it sounded like. And as I say, once I've done the work, we'll run it again and see if there's any major differences. One thing I will say is a lot of the lads where they've come in and have put whole new systems on, like true duals or like sort of 2 into 1 into 2, but like Vance and Hines for instance with the power duals, they also state that their bikes run cooler because obviously with the full system it doesn't come with the active exhaust and the cat in it. So that's what I'm mainly after with this modification for the cat. You know, the cat I'm not doing to make it, I don't know if it will make it any louder, to be truthful, but that isn't why I'm doing the cat. The cat is in an attempt to get this thing to run cooler. It's not running hot, don't get us wrong, but if I can make it run a little bit cooler, that every little helps. And yeah, do away with this flap thing that's in there. So what I'm going to do first, and I'll do it off camera, obviously I'll remove my boxes, I'll take this foot peg off and this front foot board, take all my heat shields off, I'll pull the mufflers off, my slip-ons, but I won't film that. I did a video on my other Electra Glide where I took the slip-ons off. It's exactly the same. Fair enough, it's Vans and Hines Monster Ovals. There's on the other one it's Screaming Eagles, but the principle of it is exactly the same. You undo the front clamp, undo your back bolts, wiggle it about and pull it off. So when I bring you back, we'll have just the bare system on, and what I might do is just spray a little bit of WD into the threads on the heads for the header bolts, and maybe on the clamps or something, and I'll probably pull the the main fuse, because I'm going to be disconnecting the O2 sensors and stuff. So anything with a CAN bus system on it, it's fucking finicky. You know, just takes a tiny little fucking spark and it'll fuck something. As in a little surge, or you know, fucking about with connections. Honestly, it's so easy to fuck it up. So I'll pull the main fuse out probably, and then we'll come back and we'll get this exhaust off. So until then, right, got a bit carried away here. Seat off, boxes off, well, fucking exhaust off now. Basically, it's just a case of undo your head bolts, as in the header bolts, where it bolts onto the heads. Now the hardest part of getting this off is, you can't see, just adjust this slightly and zoom in a touch. There we go. Right, the hardest part you'll find if you're doing this yourself is pulling this apart. There's a gasket in here that joins it onto the crossover pipe. So basically I got that out, just rove it out basically, just the fronts come away and then just waggle it and it will come out. Just takes a little bit of time. And then what I did was pop the clip on this cable which goes around your exhaust flap and just fastens into that bit and just lifts off basically. So next thing is I'm going to take the clip off here which is holding the plugs on. I'm just going to lift you back up because you don't need to see the exhaust at the second at this moment in time. Right, got to unplug these two plugs here and feed them through. These are off the O2 sensors, so I'll just grab my little snips. I just had them a minute ago. I don't know if you can see on the camera. Yeah, you can. I also took these bag things off. That's what I had my snips for, because they were cable tied on. Well, I can't find the ones I was using, so these will do instead. Just snip a couple of cable ties. Now, before I go any further, I'm going to lift you off because I want to show you something. Right, as stated earlier, I've pulled the main fuse. Now, if you just pull your main fuse on these things, it'll set the fucking alarm off. So, let me zoom out. So basically, turn your ignition to on. This is before you pull your main fuse. Turn your ignition to on. Make sure it's on there. So like your fuel, you'll hear your fuel pump kick in. Put your key fob next to your alarm, and then pull your main fuse. And it'll kill it, but you won't set your alarm off. And then basically, when you're done, put your main fuse back in. Your bike will spring to life and just turn it back off. So, but as for that bit, I'll show you that bit later on. I just thought I'd show you that bit because it is a pain in the arse if you pull your main fuse. There's two things that can happen as well when you pull your main fuse without doing what I've just done there, or what I've just shown you to do. One, obviously your fucking alarm goes off and it is annoying and annoys you to death. But two, it can actually bring up that you need your pin number in when you connect it back up. So, and if you don't know your pin number, say somebody else has put it in and you're the fucking fourth person to own the bike, you could be doing a bit of scrabbling about to get the fucker sorted. Right, so I'm going to unplug these front and rear O2 sensors. And just pull through. There's another cable tie, but I'll get that in a second. So I'll just pull them out through the frame. I'll just cut this cable tie. Now, careful with some of these that you don't actually cut your wires or pipes. Right, now that is the exhaust system off. Well, the header pipe. And in here, I don't know if you'll be able to see it like that's where's my fucking torch? you can see in there is the exhaust flap. Now I'm going to try and do this. Actually I'll bring on some pliers. Just be a little bit easier. So as you can see there, if I fucking keep my fingers out of the way, try and change my light. Get me pliers on the bit. As you can see there, it's opening, and well, basically I'm gonna fucking do away with all that. It's free enough, like, obviously. Oh, but for now, I'm just gonna knock you off for a minute. Actually, I might knock you off for more than a minute. Now I've got this lot off, I might go and have some dinner. On there, for taking the header bolts off, I just used a 3/8 drive because of the small sockets. It's 1/2 inch, and it just slips up nicely on each head bolt. And thankfully, the head bolts are the studs are actually in really good condition. A little bit of surface rust on the bolts. I'll show you the bolts. Sorry, the nuts. But overall, not too drastic. You can see there, a bit of surface rust. I mean, it might even just be a fucking build up of dirt. That's probably the worst one out of them all. But they're still in good nick. But I might stick some new ones on. I mean, I've got new bolt. Start that again. I've got new nuts. I've got packs of new nuts, so I might just put some new ones on. Yeah, and on the front cylinder head, basically it was just a case of I went in with not that one. What the fuck's it done? A long reach, 1/2 inch, and just slid it up on the inside. Like if that's your leg shield, I was up on the inside of the leg shield with the little ratchet, and then for the other bolt, I came in from the other side of the bike because it was easier to get at. So it's not hard, it's just fiddly. So, and while this thing's in bits, I'll give you a fucking wipe off. So yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of all this cable. I'm probably just going to take the actuator out because I've got plugs for these, like eliminator plugs. I've got 2 sensor eliminator plugs as well, and active air intake plugs. You know, I usually use them when you do a stage 1. Well, not this lot, but the plugs for the air filter. Do a stage 1. Usually the filters that I'm putting on don't come with all that active air on it. So, but for now, I'm just going to knock you off. I'm going to go and have some scran, and then we'll come back and we'll start having a look at this exhaust and getting the cat out of it and the exhaust flap. Right, back soon. Right, I've marked what I did do, which I never mentioned. Before I took the heat shield off, I actually marked where the heat shield covers. Not for any specific reason, but I know that if somebody across the pond's watching this, there's certain parts of the world where this isn't allowed, sort of thing. So you want to be hiding, if you're cutting out, you want to be hiding it. Well, that's what I did. I marked where the heat shield covers, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this section out. I mean, there's probably umpteen videos already on YouTube doing this, but cut this section out, prise the top off, and the reason I'm cutting it full to the welds is it gives you more room, because I'm going to go in with the grinder, because the actual cat itself isn't actually that long. I don't think it fills from there to there, so I'll get in with the grinder and cut loads of it out, and then sort of chisel the rest out, and then get in with a die grinder to clean everything up. So what I'll do, I'll knock camera off for this, but I'll just cut that, and then once I've cut it I'll come back and I'll show you how easy it is to just pry it off. Right, back soon. Right, I've cut the square, so basically it's just a case of put your screwdriver in, or a lever of any description, and then just work your way around. It'll seem a bit of a pain in the ass to start with, but it frees itself off. What you don't want to do is force it too hard so that you end up bending this bit. Change over to a bit of a bigger unit. Right, and that's it. That's just pried the lid off, but it's not bent it out of shape. So that'll be able to weld back on, no problem at all. And there is the cat. Now, the reason, I'll just move these tables a little bit, get them a little bit closer together, and that should work just nicely. Right, the reason I cut it at the welds is, one, when I weld it up it won't look as bad, but two, this is really thick, so you can actually get in there and get some good leverage in. I mean, I haven't cut it, I'm going to go in and cut it all yet, like I'm just showing you. I'm sure I've cut into it somewhere here, for instance. So I mean, it really is easy to break out. It just, I need mine on the board now. It's one thing I want to be careful of is the whatchamacallits, the O2 sensors. I don't want to be smacking them. So I'll just get my hammer. As you can see there, it's just splitting apart anyways. But to make it a lot faster and a lot well, I was saying, you could see I've moved it, haven't I? To make it a lot faster, I mean, obviously I've been banging the screwdriver in to there, but to make it a lot quicker, cut it with a, I just use the slitting disc. But I'll change this one because it's got a bit small, but the really super thin slitting disc, and just slit down into it at full depth as far as you can get in, and then just drive it out. So what I'll do, shift that out of there. What I'll do is I'll knock it off rather than wasting time just watching this, and I'll cut a load. Then I'll switch you back on when I've cut a load and just show you how easy it is to get out. Right, I'll be back soon. Right, as you can see, I've just cut some slots into that. Now basically one of them actually started coming out when I started dragging across the second bit, so I'll do that first. And then this one, getting a bit deeper at it. And then the third one. And it just comes off easy as pie. Now that's half of it off basically, but what with us getting it that far down, I can now go in the grinder again, cut some more slots and then just lever them out, and then it'll leave us with, where the hell have I put it? Here. It'll leave us with a layer on just like that. I know there's a bit of a build up on there, but as you can see it just pulls off. But what I'll do is I'll get one of my die grinders and I'll just grind it off. I mean, in fact I might even use a floppy disk. I might have a quick black with a floppy disk and see if that'll bring it off. But yeah, so I'll cut some more slots in here. I'll knock it off again, cut some more slots, some lines, whatever you want to call them, and then I'll switch you back on again and we'll get the next bits out. Back in a minute. Right, some more lines in. Just put your lever in. More luck with this one. I should maybe get a different shaped lever. And basically it's just the same thing for it all the way really. Ooh. when you get to a certain point, as you can see there, my problem is if I can put it down a minute, it's actually starting to peel the cat out. So I'll just go to this side. Come on. That's basically the cat out. Just a few little bits left to sort of pry out. Pretty much what's left in there now is basically the same as what's left on this bit, and even on this bit should be able to once you get it started to move. I might get the other screwdriver actually where it went. So the big lumps just start to peel off, and what's left I'll just come off with hopefully with a floppy disk. And that's the remnants of what come out. So I'll just quickly change this disc. Typical, I haven't got a new floppy disk, I'm just kicking about handy. So on this one, for instance, with my hammer and stuff so it don't spray back up in my face. As you can see there, it's just all going to bring that off, and a lot of it you should be able to you can see in there, a lot of it just, some of it I might have to get in with the die grinder because obviously I won't be able to fit all the way in with the grinder, but I can take a big lump out of the middle and then just clean it up with the die grinder. So what I'll do is I'll knock it off and I'll get the rest of this cleaned out, and then we'll make a start on this flap. Right, back soon. Right, got a grinding disc and very lightly ground off the worst. Put the flappy back on and just tarted it up. That's nice and smooth now, even though it doesn't look it. It's actually smooth. But to save a bit of time in the hole, so to speak, everybody likes spending time in the hole, but I've got one of these little pry bar things Cheapo presents, and the angle of it is really good. Is really good for just getting in and getting off the last remnants. So basically what I'm doing is making less work. This isn't hard to do, but that's nearly smooth. It's not smooth, it still needs cleaned up, don't get me wrong, but it's basically where this stuff's actually stuck on, because it must be stuck in with something. It's actually breaking it off. Just means there's going to be a lot less work. I'm just going to tip some of this shit out of it. Just means there's going to be a lot less work when it comes to going in to smooth it off with whichever tool I end up using. So yeah, I just thought I'd show you that little tip. It'd probably work with a screwdriver, to be truthful, but that just seems to be a good angle on that for getting in and actually, you know, scraping it off. Because as I say, there's hardly out left in that. A few bits obviously I haven't got yet, but where I have scraped it, it's near enough smooth, so it's going to be the lightest of clean-ups inside. Right, knock you off again for now.